The past 2 weeks have been packed with news about the upcoming Chapter 5, and today, we're gonna break down everything that's happened lately. Trust me, it's already clear that Chapter 5 is gonna be the wildest one yet. If we take a look at the Chapter 5 description on Steam, the very first thing that instantly stands out is this paragraph. In the latest terrifying chapter of the Poppy Playtime saga, you are propelled further into the gruesome depths of the factory, with Playtime security system Huggy Wuggy in hot pursuit. Abandoned by your only allies, your fight for survival gets all the more challenging as you race further into the abyss that is his domain. From this, we learn that Chapter 5 is supposed to be the final chapter where all the mysteries will finally be revealed and we'll see a proper conclusion to the Poppy Playtime saga. I already suspected this right after Chapter 4's release, but you never know. Maybe the devs had something else in mind and those words didn't really mean much. Still, ever since the anniversary teaser for Poppy Playtime, we started to suspect that the prototype would become the main antagonist of Chapter 5. And after the Steam page went live along with the teaser trailer, all our guesses were confirmed. In every previous chapter, the main antagonist was featured on the banner, and this time, the devs are clearly hinting that it's not Poppy. If the prototype really is going to be the main antagonist, then who's going to be the new character? We've seen a bunch of different names floating around, but it's doubtful any of them will actually be as meaningful as, say, Doughy from Chapter 4. If we think back to last year's Halloween teaser, the devs left us an Easter egg hinting at the characters we later saw in Chapter 4. So it's totally possible they'll do something similar this time too. And even though most of the pumpkins don't seem to have any real significance for the upcoming chapter, there are still a few with some seriously strange carvings that really do look like they might be hinting at a potential new character. We can also clearly see a human hand, the same one that appeared in another Chapter 5 teaser. That hand belongs to the only living person in the Poppy Playtime universe, us. So the devs are clearly hinting that in Chapter 5, we're going to be more important than ever before. There are a few more replies from the developers, but they're all pretty vague and don't really give any solid answers, so I'll save that for another video. If we take a closer look at the teaser trailer, we can spot images of several characters, and the weirdest part is that they all belong to the same family. They're all felines. No one's confused about Candy Cat, Catnap, or Catbee, but Yarnaby is actually a lion, and as we know, lions are part of the feline family too, so maybe the devs are hinting at a brand new character who will be yet another cat. And the main thing we see in that trailer is the Poppy Gel, the substance used to bring characters back to life. Considering there's also that glove which most likely belongs to Huggy, there's a good chance that after Chapter 1, Huggy actually died. And if he really does come back, it'll be thanks to the prototype. Like I said earlier, Chapter 5 will most likely wrap up the entire Poppy Playtime story, and now let's dig a bit deeper into why that seems way more likely than the opposite. Chapter 4 has been dropping hints left and right about the story coming to an end. Let's start with the most obvious one. Everyone knows that the prototype is the main antagonist and the ultimate evil of Playtime Co. Starting from Chapter 2, the devs have been slowly preparing us for the prototype's reveal. Then, in Chapter 3, even more details pointed in that direction. But what stuck with me the most were Poppy's words.
They killed everyone. The guilty, the innocent, didn't matter. All that death didn't fix anything. Prototype has to die. For this. For everything.
Many people expected to see the prototype in Chapter 4, and videos on this topic racked up millions of views. To be honest, I was convinced it would happen too, but Chapter 4 didn't reveal much about him, aside from his silhouette. However, we did uncover a ton of other crucial information, not just about the prototype, but about Playtime Co. as a whole. Throughout Chapters 3 and 4, Mob Entertainment has been slowly preparing us for this long-awaited encounter, and with every hour of gameplay, we learned more and more. Based on the latest news regarding the prototype, we absolutely have to talk about Poppy as well. It's no secret that Poppy is our main ally. In Chapter 3, we started interacting with her more as she began revealing the history of Playtime Co. By Chapter 4, our encounters became even more frequent, and the build-up to the story's major events intensified. Now let's do a quick interactive segment. How do you think Poppy Playtime should end? Personally, I think it's pretty obvious. We don't need to dig too deep for answers. As Poppy has said many times, our main goal is to rescue the orphans and destroy Playtime Co., along with the prototype. And based on everything I've said so far, and what I'm about to say, Chapter 5 seems like the perfect place for that to happen. In Chapter 4, during our first truly serious conversation with Poppy, there's one incredibly important detail that practically screams that Chapter 5 will be the grand finale of our long journey.
The orphans weren't killed during the Hour of Joy. They were taken. They're below, in the labs. The prototype's home. They are alive, but sleeping. They're with him. And he knows we're here. So, if we're going to free them and stop the prototype, we need to plan for both at the same time.
Yes. You heard that right. It's not really about the plan or the orphans. Of course, the real attention grabber was the mention of the prototype's home, some kind of laboratories. Well, not just some labs. The prototype's main habitat is none other than the infamous Playtime Co. labs, where Harley Sawyer and the other scientists conducted their horrific experiments on both orphans and employees. Now, let's take a moment for a brief VHS tape segment. Listen closely and try to answer this question. Why did the prototype choose these curse labs as its hideout?
Tell them you're lost. They'll be glad to help. All right. Let's be honest. You're not supposed to be here. This is the single most high security, high clearance section of the whole factory. When someone finds you down here, you will be shot. And before you get any ideas, don't think you can just sneak away either. No, the second you put this tape in, it set off an alarm. So if anyone's home, they know exactly where you are. Pretty nifty, huh? Security is very important to us here. If I were you, I'd start running.
The answer is pretty obvious. First, as Leith Pierre himself said, this location is the most secure area within Playtime Co. And we need to understand that secure doesn't just mean heavy security. It includes traps, codes, massive doors, and countless other defenses. Second, the laboratories are the perfect place to conduct experiments. And who knows? Maybe the prototype has been secretly creating a monstrous abomination all this time, one capable of wiping out not just us and our allies, but humanity as a whole. After Hour of Joy, we know exactly how it feels about humans after all the experiments performed by the scientists. Alright, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. At this point, I'm 1,000,000% convinced that the laboratories will be the main setting of Chapter 5. And if we take into account Poppy's plan, one that involves confronting the prototype, then the chances of finally encountering it in Chapter 5 are absolutely, insanely, unimaginably high. We'll get back to Poppy and the prototype later since they're the biggest keys to answering the main question of this video. But for now, let's talk about Huggy, who has officially made his return. We all remember that Huggy was supposed to die at the end of Chapter 1, and even more than that, everyone knows that Huggy is the face of Poppy Playtime. This whole story started with him, and come on, wouldn't it be insanely cool and symbolic if it ended with him too? For some reason, I'm convinced that Mob Entertainment planned it that way from the very beginning. And just like that, you've got another reason why Chapter 5 is shaping up to be the grand finale of Poppy Playtime. Also, it's no secret that Huggy is one of the prototype's minions. His return could be yet another sign that the biggest mystery of Playtime Co. is finally going to be revealed in Chapter 5. But now, let's circle back to Poppy and the prototype, so I can fully convince you that I'm right about all of this. First, let's recall what Poppy said about how she felt after Hour of Joy.
I thought we were gonna leave. Leave the factory. Not this. All those people. Prototype says we can't leave. Not now, not ever. I hate him. I hate him, and I hate this place, and I hate that he's... right. He explained everything, and he's right. We can't leave. It's too risky. What they did to us, we can't ever let it happen to us or anyone ever again. Doesn't make me feel better about the bodies, though. What he was saying about them. I know there's not really another option. The toys will starve otherwise. They'll die. But it's still disgusting.
So that's how we found out why Poppy's got such a hardcore grudge against the prototype. And at the same time, we got even deeper into the whole Playtime Co. backstory. But one of the most crucial moments in Chapter 4, no doubt, it's that convo between the prototype and Poppy, where we picked up a ton of new details.
This entire time, you've lied to me!
Only because you've kept missing the point.
I admit, though, I'm disappointed.
After all that time in your case, I'd hoped you'd see things differently.
Don't you understand?
It's always been about you.
Every hobby. What we are. That's not a truth that can be brought away. It's time to come home.
I can't go back in the case. I can't. I'm sorry.
And of course, Poppy's escape and the total breakdown between us and the prototype was just the cherry on top of this madness. What can I say? The whole of Chapter 4 was setting us up for that big showdown with the prototype in Chapter 5, and that scene, it basically put a giant exclamation mark on that theory. That means all the remaining questions, which honestly aren't that many, will finally get answered in Chapter 5. And if we trace the red thread through this whole video, it's pretty damn clear Chapter 5 is gonna wrap up the Poppy Playtime story. If it's all leading up to the final battle for our survival, then why drag it out? Might as well make Chapter 5 a solid 5 to 6 hour experience to properly close every arc and let the devs move on to other games.